Welcome to this tutorial about the Easy Client Budget Calculator. This is Gail Dobie with Gail Dobie Coaching and Consulting. I'm excited to share this with you. This is something that we've worked on with some of our top clients. They've checked it out. We've gone through lots of iterations of it, and I think you're going to love this because it will save you so much time and make it so fast and easy for you to be able to put together a budget for your clients. First of all, there are two ways that you can create a budget. We'll be using the first four tabs for the first type of budget, which is based on the client who does not know how much they should be spending. And then on tab 5, this is for clients that do know exactly what their budget needs to be. So I'll walk you through both of those budget scenarios right now. The first thing you're going to note is up here in the upper left corner that you will want to start here on this particular part of the calculator, because where you're going to fill in the numbers is in column B, and you basically have to fill in just 7 different numbers, or 8 I think it is. And so first of all, before you could do anything, you need to unlock the sheet. We're going to the Review tab, you're going to Protect Sheet, and then you're going to enter in the code, which is G as in Gail, D as in Dobie, C as in Coaching, C as in Consulting, GDCC. You'll repeat it here if your screen asks you for the verification, and then you're set to go. You will need to do this on each of the pages that you're going to be making changes to. So let's start in this upper corner, and when you go to line A3, this cell, you can see that the first thing is you need to enter a house value for the property that you're working on. If your client does not know what the value of their home is, or if they don't give that information to you, you can look it up on Zillow.com and just enter their actual physical address for either their project or their home, and then you'll be able to tell what the price is of their home. So in this case, we're going to say that it's $2 million. So enter that into B3. The second thing that you'll get from Zillow.com is down here on B5. You can enter the project square footage, and that will be shown on Zillow.com. The next thing that you'll enter is the percentage of existing furnishings that the clients will use from their existing house. So say that they're planning to use some antiques that they had in the family, and maybe a few other items. And in this case, we're going to say that 25% of the furnishings will be provided by the client from their current furnishings. On line B6, in this cell, you're going to enter the percentage of the project budget that will be designated for renovations if it will be deducted from the overall budget. So for example, in our particular case, we're going to take out 15% of the overall budget to do renovations. Let's just assume that maybe it's a small renovation for a bathroom. Enter your markup percentage in line 7 in cell B. In this case, we're going to use a 30% markup. We'll calculate your net margin in cell B30 for you automatically. In the next line, we're going to enter an applicable percentage for project installation fees if they're applicable. So that could be things like installing art, window treatments, putting shelves in a garage, things like that. In this case, we're going to use the 5% as the number and the value that we'll put in cell B8. The next thing that you'll enter is your sales tax percentage, and that will be for the state, the city, the county, for whatever taxing district that you have for this particular project. And in this case, we're entering 6.6%. And finally, enter an estimate for freight, delivery, and crating. And we've used 5% in this particular case. Those are the only values you need to enter. And from there, it's just a matter of reading the spreadsheet to see what the actual budget needs to be. And I'll walk you through that in just a minute. On step 2, we'll get to that in a few minutes, but we'll be going to tab 2 to create a list of itemized furnishings per room. And then after that, you'll go to step 3 and create a budget for hours so you can track whether you're over or under budget on your hours. Over on the right side of your chart, you'll see that we've included some general information, and let me explain what this is about. The purpose of this calculator is to calculate what the budget is for your client, but it's also to give you information on what net costs you have available to invest in the project for your client. Your total net dollars available for purchasing fixtures, furnishings, and equipment at your cost is calculated based on your desired percentage for fees of the overall budget. So you'll see the answers in D32, E32, F32, I32, J32, and K32. And I'll show you that in just a second. Your client's cost per square foot of furnishings is shown on line 33. So this is in case you want to give them a square footage price. Here are a couple of additional notes. Note 1 is the overall budget for the project includes furnishings, fees, and possible minor remodel. In Note 2, the source of our information for budget recommendations is HomeTrust or thehometrust.com/luxury-home/interiors-index, and again, /. If you go to that particular page, that is a perfect page and a link to share with your clients so they can read up on this and get some information from a third party, which tells them how to set a budget for their project. Note number 3, if you're working with an extremely high-end or custom furnishings project, you may want to increase the budget over the high budget you'll see below. And by the way, I'll add a note in here. I actually am using budget in this calculator, but the word I would prefer that you use in talking with your clients is investment versus budget. So try to use that when you're talking to your client, but for your purposes, it is a budget that you're setting. So let's go down to the bottom part of this calculator and I'll walk you through the results of this. So what you'll see is that in line 16, you're actually going to see that the value of the house has transferred down here into column B and also into column F. So that was automatically transferred from the very top of the calculator. The second number is a calculation that we've done for you, which is the total design and construction budget, which includes fees, furnishings, and renovation. In this case, for the low budget, we're using 35% of the home value. So that means that $2 million times 35% equals $700,000. In the high budget, we're using 40% of the home value, and you'll see that it's $800,000 for that budget. The next line down is for a deduction for the client's furnishings. So in the case up above, we decided that we were going to use a discount of 25% of the overall, meaning that they're going to use 25% of their furnishings in this next house, and they're going to replace with new furnishings 75%. So what we've done is we've deducted in this line 18, $175,000 for the low budget, and then over here in column F, we deducted $200,000 for the high budget. On line 19, we determined that we're going to have 15% of the budget go to renovation. So our calculator shows that for the low budget, that will be $105,000, and for the high budget is $120,000. Then what we do is on line 20, we take the $700,000 minus the client's furnishings that they're going to be having, that they'll be reusing. We'll subtract that as well as the renovation budget, and that gives us a total budget of $420,000 for fees and furnishings. In the high budget, that's $480,000. Now, if you'll notice up here in C, D, and E in these columns in the light blue, that our low budget for design fees is 20% of the total furnishings and renovation budget that we're seeing down here in line 20. So in this particular case, we take 20% of the 420 as well as the renovation budget because we're assuming that you're designing that. So your fee actually ends up being 20% of that, of those two numbers, which means that your actual fee should be $105,000. In the next category is 25% of the fee is going to be multiplied times the 420,000 plus the $105,000 renovation budget. So your total fee for this will be $131,250. And for 33%, it's $173,250. And then you can see over here in the high budget, it's above that. It starts at $120, $150, and then $198. I will tell you that based on the clients that I work with, the typical fees range from usually 25 to 40% of the budget. But for some of you, you may be a little uncomfortable at the beginning, charging a higher percentage. So I did include 20% just in case. So a lot of that also depends on how efficient you are and how experienced your people are that are working from your team. The other thing that we added into the calculator is a design fee per square foot. So we did that based on just the fee itself, and you'll see that the $105,000 budget divided by the 6,000 square feet equals $17.50. So we divided each of these fees, and these are the numbers that you get per square foot. So you can see across the board what you would need to be telling your client you would be charging if you charge them by the square foot. As you start using this calculator more often, you'll notice that you can start checking yourself against your budget, and I'll show you how to do that in a couple of minutes when we go over the tab for the hours. So for right now, what we've done is we've taken the $420,000 budget, we've subtracted the $105,000 in fees, and that leaves us $315,000. And you'll see across the board that as your percentage goes up for your fee, the less you have for furnishings all the way across the board. Okay, so the next line that we're going to go to is line 26. In this case, we are using a 5% budget for installing window treatments and artwork and shelving and things like that. So that number is going to be deducted from the budget. So what was $315 is now $299,250, and you can see how the number has changed across this line. We've also translated and transferred all of those percentages that you filled in the goldenrod section above, and they have now been brought down to the lower part of this calculator. So we add all those deductions up from above, and it's 16.6%. And with a markup of 30%, that's actually a margin of 23.1%. So that also gets added to these total deductions. So you're actually going to be reducing the amount available to purchase by 39.7%. So we've done that calculation automatically for you. So this $299,250, we've taken out all those other expenses that will get billed out later when you actually do a proposal. And your net purchasing dollars available to use for the project ranges from $190,018 to $148,847 for your low budget. For your high budget, it ranges from $235,163 to $184,211. So that's all good news for you because you now have some great numbers to work with, and these should be profitable, but we'll show you how to make sure of that on the next few pages. So what we've done here is we've taken your total furnishings budget, and it's $31.67 a square foot. So we divided this 190 by 6,000 square feet, and that gave us $31.67 a foot. And again, just follow that line across to see the values for each of the percentages. The very last line, you'll see that the total budget per square foot for design fees and furnishings is $49.17 up to $63.70 a square foot. This is great information. The more you use this budget calculator, the better your numbers are going to be, and the more you're going to be able to make sure that you're making money as a designer, which that's the name of the game. And by the way, at the very bottom of the calculator and on every single page, every single tab, we've highlighted in yellow how you unlock this sheet. And just to let you know too that you can go back and protect this sheet again by using that same GDCC, and you can verify it here, and that's okay. So it's going to protect those values because you want to maintain all of the calculator functions that we've included for you. So on page 1 or on tab 1, we have allowed you to select your budget from tab 1. So depending on if you want to use low budget or high budget, you can select which number you want to use, and just that will automatically show up on this particular sheet. So your total project budget is going to be shown right here as you start adding things to this particular sheet, which is tab 2 for your net furnishings budget. So you might add a sofa, and let's say that sofa is $5,000, and that maybe you have a rug, and that's $3,000, and you'll see that it's starting to add up. We've decided, and you can set these however you want to do it, but we've set up 10 rooms for you, and the total of all your rooms should add up to 100%. So we've just divided it by 10% for each room. So as you list out all of the items that you want to purchase for this project, they're going to get added up here, and so you'll have a room total net that you can spend for that project. So this is a really great way of creating a budget for the project very, very quickly. So that I don't have too many other comments about this particular sheet except for just use this. I think it's a great way to keep track of your budget and to create something very quickly by room based on the list that you get when you meet with your client on site. Okay, now let's go to tab 3, and we have in tab 3 your low fee budget. So I'm going to scroll over here to the right. First I'll unlock the sheet. By now you've memorized this GDCC. And you get a low fee budget from tab 1 for your design fees. And you can just press this little down arrow and pick what fee that you're working towards. So that's $105,000. This number down here, actual variance from budget, is based on your actual numbers. So right now you have no numbers entered, so your variance is $105,000 from the actual budget of $105,000 because you don't have any time allocated to the project. So we've entered, we have given you several blanks here so that you can add, however large your team is, you can add the title of the person that's going to be working. And in each of these cases, as you go across this column heading, you'll see that we have divided this by the phases that are typical for a project. So pre-design hours, this might be doing budgets, it might be doing conceptual work, and the principal designer is probably the lead designer on this, so maybe this part is 20 hours. And when you go back later, you can have pre-design actual hours that you enter after you complete the project. Maybe on design development, this is 30 hours for the principal. You'll enter the actual in column E later. The FF and E hours budget, this will be selecting all the furniture and the fixtures and figuring out all the specifications, doing all those different things, and maybe this is 50 hours. And the construction documentation, maybe have a budget for that for the principal, and maybe that's only 5 hours because they're just reviewing. And you have other members of the team doing that. And then you go over to the construction administration hours budget, and maybe again this is done mostly by somebody else, but you're just overseeing that. Expediting, that is 0 for you as the owner because you probably have somebody on your team that can do that for you. Closeout and punch list, also somebody else on the team. So you can see over there that as we scroll over to the right, that you have a total time billable budget of $24,750 for you as the principal, assuming that your rate is $225 an hour. And then over to the right, you can put in your actual total hours billed will be summed up from your row. So you don't have to enter it. It's actually done when you enter these hours over here. So maybe we have 2 hours here and 2 hours there. And we can put in some other hours that you put in on this project. And maybe you did 7 here, and you did 3 here, and you did 60 here, and you did 33 hours here. We'll just put in some numbers so you can see what I'm talking about. And maybe this is 22 hours. So your budget was 24,750, but you actually spent $29,025. So you have to be really careful. And in this case, you can see that you're over budget by $4,275. So if you go through this process for each of the lines in here and for each employee for the project, it should fit within that 105,000 range. And assuming that you've priced your employees, what you're paying them is maybe about a third to a fourth of the overall billable rate, you're going to make money on this project. So this is a really great tool. The other thing I would suggest to you is to set your time budget below what this actual budget is right here. If you can take 10% off the top, if somebody runs over on their time, you'll probably still be within budget. This is going to make your business so much more profitable just by doing this. Okay, great. So we're going to go ahead and protect this sheet, and we'll go to the next tab. And basically, I will tell you that you'll go through the same process all over again for the high fee budget. You'll just go through the same process of entering in the hours and then later coming back and entering your actual hours. Each month, you should be tracking your time. It's one of the most important things you can do in your business. And if you will do that, you are going to find that you're going to see how long it takes you to do each type of project, and you'll have a better idea of what it's going to take you to be profitable as well. So this is going to be a game changer for your business. All right, let's go to budget number 5. This tab is the very simple budget, and this is based on the client giving you a budget for the project. On this sheet, we're going to be entering a budget that is provided by a client. In this case, in column B, we'll be entering $200,000 for the budget. They have 5,000 square feet in their home, and in this case, we're going to deduct 10% for renovations for their project. We're entering the markup percentage as 30%, and then we're saying that there are no project installation fees in this particular case. Next, enter your sales tax percentage, and then enter an estimate for freight, delivery, and crating. All of these carry down into the lower part of the calculator. You'll follow the same steps 2 and 3 that you did on the earlier calculator, but let's take a look at what the numbers end up being for this particular case. You see the $200,000 budget. A renovation deduction of $20,000 leaves $180,000. So your fees, if you're at 20% design fees of the total budget, are $36,000, and they go up to $59,400 if it's a third of the total budget. You can see your design fees per square foot, and you can see here that your markup has been transferred down here. And because we did not deduct anything for the installation, your dollars are the same as they were up here in this upper part of the calculator. All of these other deductions add up to 11.3%. You add that to your gross margin, that all gets deducted, and you have between $95,000 to $79,000 to be used for furnishings. So that equates to $18.91 a square foot, or down to $15.84 a square foot. And again, just as a reminder, as your fee goes up, you have less dollars to spend on product. You'll see that this is a total on the very last line, 32, between what your design fees are and what the furnishings budget is per square foot. So this will start really making sense to you. If you kept a log sheet of your different types of projects, you'll see that there will be a fairly standard amount per square foot that you'll be allocating for your projects. And this is going to make it so much easier. The longer you're in business, the more data you have, the better off you'll be. So very quickly, just to review, we have tabs 6 and 7, so you can go and enter your net furnishings budget here. And then on tab 7, you can enter your hours budget. So go through the same steps that we used on the earlier parts of the calculator. Okay, so we have now gone through two different methods for calculating your budget. I hope you enjoy using this calculator. It has been a labor of love for you all, and I hope you enjoy it and make lots of money. Congratulations.